Okay, hello. Uh, Gosh, I probably look really weird. This is probably just like a super weird video in general, but I don't know if anyone notices who I am. I guess it just to defeat the purpose of the wig and the mask, but now I've kind of been in a little bit of kind of like a mental battle, if that makes sense. And I was sitting down today, like I had called out of work. I was just watching like a bunch of YouTube videos, just YouTubers that I enjoy watching, like Choice TV. There's like It's Keisha. There's Angelica. Hold on, let me. I just like to give credit because like they're kind of the reasons like why I even am filming something like this today. So hold on. I would watch like YouTubers like Repsion, Choice TV. I'm a huge fan. Him and I actually live in the same state. Just trying to remember the name of her channel. It's so weird because like I love watching her videos. I know it's Angelica, but I know it's not like the full name for it. Oh, it's Angelica Oles. I'm not really sure. I kind of came across her recently. I've been watching her stuff, and I believe the other one is It's Keisha. Yeah, and it's Keisha, and I was basically. It's kind of weird how like I came to the conclusion I'm gonna make a video like this after watching their type of content, but I've come to the realization that yes, I'm pretty sure they're getting paid for their videos, but especially when I kind of like listen to Troyce's videos about how YouTube's just been like a help for him, just like your personal life. Sorry. Kind of just a release, and I think that's what I need. Now, of course, there's always therapists that I could go to, and I've done that. Trust me, I've been to an abundance of therapist office. I've spoken to a lot of them, but I just always end up coming back to just I don't know if maybe because my case is just so not something that people hear about too often. Gosh, my mouth is so dry. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, so where was I? It's not something like it's a case where you hear so often. There was even a therapist that told me to write a letter to my abuser, and I was just like, why would I do that? Like, dear blank, you traumatized me for like my life. Thanks a lot. Just wanted to let you know. Like, what do you say to something like that? So I feel like I'm rambling because I just don't know where to start. It's something that I've just held back for so long. It's like I even feel like parts of my memory have just become so clouded because of it. It's just hard for me to even. Anyways, I just think it's an important story to share, and I just want to go ahead and. It sounds so stupid. Like, I feel like people are not going to take me seriously. People are going to think that it's a joke, but. And I honestly wish it was because it sounds stupid, but I was. Gosh, I can't even like look at the camera. I can't look at myself when I say this. Ugh. Okay. I was abused as a child by a family friend. Well, let me reword that. I was abused as a child by a family friend's daughter. And that daughter was also a child. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, a child abused a child? Like, what are you talking about? And sexually? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. And I think at the time too, it even took me a while to realize what had happened to me, because it's just like you don't you don't hear stuff like that. Like in most yeah, you don't hear stuff like that. In most cases it's always like an older uncle, or you have those fucked up parents, like a family friend that's known the parents for a while or just recently known the parents, like stuff like that. You don't hear that a child molested another child. It's not like, and if it's something that has happened to you, of course, like, share your stories down below. Like, this is something that's open. I haven't met another person that's experienced something like this, and I'm sorry I'm rambling so much. It's like I want to talk about it, but like getting into the story of it, it's kind of just like I have to kind of pull back all the layers, because this situation, like, I feel like it would be a super long video if I try and kind of do like my whole life. So if people are interested in it, then I'll make different parts, just because of this thing that happened to me as a child, it affected my life greatly, and it's been the reason for just so many just decisions. And then like there's other things in my life too that were just going wrong, like my childhood, growing up, my parents, my it's a lot, and I'm just kind of tired of it. And I'm hoping that by me making this video, I'm like taking claim that and I hope you can hear me. I feel like I'm talking so low. That I'm just taking back something that was just taken from me by just acknowledging it. God, I don't even feel like I'm making any fucking sense. Okay. So, when I was younger, my mom, and to be honest, I haven't seen this family friend or her daughter since I was a child. Like, it was one of those things where I don't know if it was a family friend. I assume it was. I don't know if it was maybe like a coworker that she might have known and become friends with. I don't know if it's somebody that she grew up with. I don't really know how these two adults met, how my mom and this lady met. But she did have a daughter, and children are clueless to certain things, but children are not stupid. Like, there's things that you recognize, you know, that you can't really, like, as a child, you can't really understand, but like you understand it to a certain extent. And I could see that this lady and her daughter were struggling financially. They weren't the most well off. Like, whenever we go over to their like apartment complex or apartment, it was always a little worn down. There wasn't a lot of like furniture inside the apartment. Her room, I remember like walking in, and she kind of had like a broken down like kind of doll set, and then like a very very small like twin bed, and she had her window. And I mean, like, that was pretty much all I could. I believe it was maybe not like a bright pink room, maybe like a pale pink for the layout and the color. I'm just trying to. I know this. Like, I just really don't want people to think that I'm lying about something like this. But if you don't believe me, you don't believe me. If you do, you do. And I never really went into the mother's room, so I don't really know what the mother's living, like her quarters were, or that section inside the house per se. And I could tell that this girl was very much afraid of her mom. Her mom was, I think, one of like the typical like strict, like black woman, and it's not a racial thing. I'm black, guys. It's not like me, oh, the angry black woman, but you could tell that she was just a woman that had a lot of anger built up in her. And I feel like the moments that my mother were there were the times that this woman could feel more relaxed. Like you could see that there was kind of a weight lifted off of her. Like my mom was always one of those friends that if you talk to her, she'll be the one to listen for you to cry your shoulder on. My mom was very strong when it came to that and helping other people. Um, but this woman was very abusive as well to her daughter. Um, I remember like this kind of fast forwarding like after the abuse had taken place. I remember there was even a point where, and we kind of lived a good distance too away from their apartment, and there was a point where the girl had actually ran away from home. And I remember when she'd knocked on the door, she was banging, my mother would let her in, and her face was flushed. She had, I think it's like, I don't know if the backpack straps were pink or if it was the shirt, but because like if you put pink or like any red clothes in the washing machine, like the colors will bleed. She was sweating so much to the point like you could see like the staining on her back. She had like welts all over her. Like you could tell that she was just been like severely beaten, and she ended up spending the night. She stayed in the bed with me, and as much as I say like I want to be mad at her, I can't be, because in that moment of her being so scared, so hurt, so just feeling alone, as she laid with me in bed, nothing nothing happened. It was just more, she just wanted a place to call home. And I think I actually just came to that realization too. Like it was something that she just wanted to feel like she was in control, that she was safe, that she. Anyways, I don't want to ramble about that because there's not too much that I remember. But I do remember the very day we'd gone over. I'm getting into the story now. I'm so sorry. I feel like I rambled, but I kind of wanted to just give you a perspective on the girl's life. I don't know much about her father. I never saw him. I don't know what went on behind closed doors between the mother and the daughter, what happened with the father. I don't know all those details. And I remember going over with my mom. I don't know if it was like a weekend or after school because it was in the evening. Like I know that the sun was setting, and she brought me in her room, and I remember the dollhouse that I told you about. She basically wanted to play like mom and dad, like a husband and wife situation, and I was like, oh yeah, cool, whatever. Like I was being a little girl, like it's playing dollies, your imagination, fine. And I I remember like in the beginning, like maybe the first 10 minutes, we were kind of like dressing up. She'd like give me some of her clothes to put on, and she'd try and make herself look boyish, but you can't really do much. You're a girl, you have girl clothes. Um, we pretended to have dinner, like we did the whole honey, I'm home, like cook and all that stuff. And I I don't remember what led up to it, but it eventually came to the point where it's, the end of the evening, husband and wife, time to go to sleep. We're gonna go to bed, fine. I remember her closing the door, like her room door, and she came over and she's like, hey, lay on the bed. And granted, I'm trying to think back to how old I was. I know it wasn't middle school, so it was definitely before, like I wasn't a teenager. I know I was definitely a lot younger than 12. I'm trying to think if, and I'm sorry to kind of jump, but it blows my mind because like usually when I talk to some of my friends, like there's so many memories that you have as a child, and you remember little things, and it's like when I think back, my childhood was just so blank. Like I don't remember much, to be honest with you. It's like I have that one traumatic experience that I just kind of just blocked. And I don't know if as a result of me blocking all of that, it kind of just comes in bits and pieces, and then it kind of skips all the way to middle school, and then I like remember parts of high school and up. So I don't know if it's like a coping or a defense mechanism. I'm not entirely sure, but I know that I was younger than 12. Probably younger than 10, to be honest with you. And I think the girl was maybe either like a year older. She was either like the same age or a little bit older, but I do have a feeling like she was older than me. I don't remember the age. I never went to school with her. I only really hung out with her when my mom was at the house, so it's not like her and I were best friends per se. Just to give you a little bit more of a backstory. And she had laid me down on the bed, and she got on top of me, and she basically, oh, I think my battery's gonna die. Hold on. Okay. Sorry about that. Where was I? Yes. So she had basically put me down on the bed, and she got on top of me, and she said, "This is what husband and wife do. Like, this is what mommies and daddies do." And I was just like, okay, fine. And she basically like leaned down, and she'd grabbed my hands and then put them above me. And I'm sorry. And I'm sitting there, not sitting there. And I'm laying there, and I'm just like, okay, like this is kind of weird, but whatever. Like, I'm just going along with everything. And I always think back to like why was I so stupid? Like, why did I not do anything? Like, why did I allow something like this to happen? And I don't want to go too much into the details, but I remember her just like sliding her hands down my body, and she was just like groping areas that a child just shouldn't know to grope. Like, it's not something where, I don't know if it's changed because, kids nowadays are acting more mature than they should, but my image of a child, then it's just like a child shouldn't know to do these things unless it's something that's been done to her or done to them as a child. And it's something that she basically just violated my space, like my innocence as a child. And as I got older and I thought about it, I was just like, when I was younger, I was just like, how could she do something like this? Because I remember being in pain. Like, as a child, you don't know the proper ways and the proper things that you're supposed to do in acts like that. It's not something that comes just naturally. It's not something that you necessarily talk about with your friends at that age. It's not something that's normal at that age to even think about or even want to do. And I always used to get so mad about it, and then I would think, what if she did this, because it was the only time that she ever did it to me, that one time. what if she did this because it was being done to her by another adult in her life? And I'm not going to sit here and say that her mother did it. I don't know. I know that her mother was a little hands on in regards to like physical and possibly mental abuse in forms of just like violence and hitting. And I feel like that's just a completely different topic for another day in regards to just black families in general and mental health. It's something that I really am passionate about and I want to talk about because it needs to be talked about. But there's no way that a girl her age should have an understanding of an act like that and is able to actually inflict that on another child unless it's been done to them. It could be by her mother, it could be by another adult figure in her life, as I didn't know her personally. I didn't know her too well. And I think about if a situation like that changed me so much, I could only imagine how she feels now and must have felt back then. I don't know if she feels regret or even if she remembers what she did, because honestly, it's something that I know if I had blocked out with a mixture of just everything else in my life at that young age, she was probably going through so much more, or maybe it was even equal because I have a long journey. It's not funny, it really isn't, but it's just like one of those things where you just have to look back at your life and just be like, I can't believe I'm still alive, that I'm still here, that I just I, I guess really the point of this video is just for me to show awareness that a child is capable. And I know, and it shouldn't really be much of a shock, really. Like, I feel like it's something that I'm so ashamed of, but there are child criminals out. Like, there are children that have done horrible, horrible crimes. And a child just can't do things like that without some sort of influence. Now, I'm not always saying that it's the parent's fault, because sometimes there's a child that just does an act that a parent can't even, sorry, that a parent can't even begin to understand as to why they would do it. But there's a certain influence, there's something in that child's life that has driven them to that point where they can basically find another weaker child in their life to inflict that pain upon, because they can't inflict it on other adults in their life. They're not physically capable of retaliating, so they do it to another lesser being. Since they're the lesser being in the adult's eyes, they're saying, wow, if this adult is treating me like this, they're big, I'm small. I'm a big person. I know that I'm bigger than a few people around me. Let me find someone that's lesser than, that's smaller than, that I can do this too, so I can be in charge. And it's something that people need to be aware of. Like, you have to love your children, guys. Like, you have to stop abusing your children. Like, I don't understand the mentality of some adults. Like, why are you hurting and just potentially just like tainting the future of a child, an innocent child that deserves nothing but love, nothing but happiness. It's not like they had asked to be brought into the world, you know? You brought them into this world. Whether you planned it or whether it was an accident. You're the one that brought the child into this world, and it's either you have to do the smart decision as an adult. If you're not capable of taking care of that child, it's a hard decision, but it's something where you have to think of looking into adoption. You know what? I'm just gonna cut that part out. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm rambling. Um, I I just want to make this video to let you know that a child can cause another child harm, and it's not just your typical bullying. It is something that can be sexual. It is something that can be sexual. It's something that people need to be educated on, and it needs to be shown that a child can be taught horrible things from a young age, and it's something that they can inflict on somebody else. I've grown from it. I don't necessarily cry about it as much anymore. And I know a lot of people are thinking like, you know, you're a child, like you were a child, get over it. Like I got that vibe from a lot of like therapists that I spoke to, and it really like fucked me up because I'm just like, why do I feel like I'm talking to you but you're not listening? Like why do I feel like I'm trying to talk to you and you're not trying to understand anything that I'm saying to you? Like you're just just so blah about it. Like I feel like a lot of therapists thought it was like a joke, and it's just like no. And I'm saying it like I was molested by a child when I was a child. Like it's a serious thing. Like I don't know if it's happened to anybody else out there. Like I said, please share your experiences down in the comments if it's something that you have gone through, because I'm very very passionate about it now. Like it's something where I feel like I just had to say something. I needed to release it off of my heart, release it from like this dark space that I had inside me. I had to release it because I feel as I get older and older, I'm just gonna keep falling back into these just dark, depressive, just ruts in my life, and I don't want to feel like that anymore. Like I'm so tired of me feeling like I'm doing something, that I'm going somewhere. My Instagram's always filled with me on the beach, me going out, being with my friends, and I'm smiling. And the entire time that I'm smiling, I'm literally dying on the inside. Like, I am screaming for just somebody to hear me and to understand. Yeah, so I feel like I'm just gonna keep rambling, so this is just gonna be my story. I know I didn't go into detail of it. I know I said I'm releasing it, but it's just, number one, I feel like YouTube's probably not going to be too fond of me sharing a story like this. And I know that I might come across to some children. I'm not sure who this video is going to reach, but I don't want to be too descriptive, but I mean, you have an idea of the things that happened. Like her body parts had gone into certain body parts of mine that there shouldn't be. And it just fucked me up pretty much for the rest of my life. I have a whole journey that I can share with you guys if you want. I can have how my parents found out that I was part of the LGBTQ community. I can give you stories of so much of just like mental abuse within my home. I can talk about my self-harm. I think I probably even still have like my old diary from middle school. So my mom found out that I was self-harming. I can talk about being shipped off to a whole other country. I just, gosh, my life is so fucked up. So fucked up. It sucks feeling like this, you know? It really fucking sucks. Fucking sucks.